Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's your girl, Ms.A, and tonight we have Mom Thoughts at Midnight. Today I have my lovely friend Shay,
Hey.
and as you know from before, Sim. Just a little brief intro about me. My name is Angelique, but I go by Ms.A. I'm currently an up and coming CYC student. I'm trying to become a child and youth care practitioner. Currently, I'm doing my placement in education, and I'm hoping to do my second placement in a group home, i.e., or a living group care. So hopefully, I'll be able to share more information about my process and how that's all going over the next course of the year because I am graduating in 2027 and we're moving forward and we're not moving back. So yeah.
That part.
So introductions.
Well, my name's Shay. I am a student as well. I'm a BSN student, third year. So I am in nursing. I am a mom. I have two boys. And I also graduate in May of 2027. So
Yay.
What I'm hearing is a graduation trip. I'm thinking on a
please and
boat,
thank you.
yacht, for
Cruise, something.
cute two piece with hot weather.
Right.
Let's do it.
I'm Sim. You guys met me last time. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. I am a multidisciplinary visual artist, and I'm also an educator. I am a mom of 3. I have a single, and I have double. Hi.
Awesome. So without further ado, we're gonna jump right into our topic. So today's topic is: do you ever feel like you're losing who you were before you became a mom? So if anyone wants to take a moment just to let that fester, gather your thoughts. Once again, the question is: do you ever feel like you're losing who you were before becoming a mom?
Before becoming a mom?
Before becoming a mom.
Okay.
It's such a tricky topic just because I personally had my children young, or my first child quite young. So I was still in the process of learning who I was at that time too. Like 23 years old, you're not exactly sure who you are yet. So many changes are coming along with, the evolution of yourself on top of it. So I wouldn't say I wouldn't say I changed who I was, but like the evolution of who I am definitely kind of like changed course becoming a mom for sure.
Just to add on, I would say like I also had my first young, like I was turning 25 when I had my first. I didn't feel like I was losing myself before becoming a mother. I feel like I had that feeling of losing myself or being unidentifiable from what I used to be after having my first child. And I mean, again, like I'll agree with you. There is that being young and you're not fully established. You never
Right.
are. Like you're forever continuing to learn yourself. You're continuously evolving. But being at that age, it's just such a prime age, and you're just beginning to learn yourself. You're just finishing school. You're just, entering into a new chapter of life, I would say. So like, I don't know, you have this new version of yourself, but then once you have your child, it's like that new version is gone, but you're also not realizing that you're still entering into another version of yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Lovely. For me, so 23, 24, 24, 25, I got pregnant with my first at 26, had him at 27. Yeah. So for me, in my mind, I thought I was doing all the things that I was supposed to do. Now, obviously, culturally, um, I should have been married before I had my son. Hence why, for those who do know, after I did have my son, I did get married. Like
Mhm.
several months later. And so for me, like when I got pregnant, I had already moved out of my mother's house, right? So I was thinking like I'm grown, I push my own key, like I have a man, razzle dazzle. Like I also wanted to be a mom. Something that I spoke about before I even met my children's father. And I used to make those jokes like, oh, like I don't need a man, like worst case scenario, go to a sperm bank and get a kid, no, whatever the
Mhm.
case is. So like mentally during that time of my life, I felt like I was prepared. Um, because I had my son during COVID, I think that my experience may be different for many people. Normally, because I spent a lot of time with my kid, like either like yes, I was on mat leave, but you're in COVID. You're with your bubble 24/7, if you know what I mean, right? So I mean, I was already gonna spend that time with my son, or I was already gonna be consumed by him. I didn't really feel like I was really losing out on anything because nothing was really going on during that time. I think I really started to feel that shift when I had my second. Um, and that's when like a lot of things were going on in my life also. Um, and so now that I have three, and I'm really like taking a moment to look back. I'm like, my gosh, like I feel like I did not travel enough. Like things like I didn't do personally enough. Like I didn't travel enough for myself, enjoy life for myself. And then also there was a part of me in the beginning stages where it's like, oh, I didn't get to enjoy my partner in the ways that I wanted to because like we got together and then 8 months later I was already pregnant. Like 8 months is not a lot of time. You know what I mean? Not a lot of
Yeah.
time. It's not even a whole pregnancy, right? So there were a lot of things that I started to feel after the fact, but I know primarily with my first, I didn't feel that. But once it came to my second, I was like, I also felt like after my second that I was like, I was done. I had both genders. I was good to go. I was thinking like, okay, now is the time to get my life together, build a career, et cetera, et cetera. And then God blessed me with my third and for another time, another story. God, but she's a blessing. She's here. She is the spiciest little tomato I could ever meet. I call her my alter ego because she's just like everything that I wanted to be in high school in terms of like being confident and firm in like who I am and not like even when I'm with her and I'm like, oh, this is my friend. It's like she needs to vet out this person for herself. Like, she's not taking mom's word for nothing, which I love. So even though I feel like I did lose a little piece of myself, I'm reminded that we're always growing, we're always evolving, and I cannot always be that 21, 24, 25-year-old girl that I was now that 10 years or almost 10 years have passed by. So that's my personal thoughts. But yeah. Something to. Oh, sorry. Oh, I can't hear
I
you.
hear you. Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like a part of when you have a child and you feel like you're losing yourself. Also, I was going to say it also has to do with the person that you're with, but then I really stopped to think and say like, I don't think that's what it is entirely. Um, but that person does have an impact, whether that impact be something that is left or something that is right. I don't want to say negative or positive. Um, but then I also still feel like it's not on them. it's really something that you just feel within yourself, because it's like, well, things that you used to do and how you used to be and the decisions that you used to make have completely changed, because you're no longer, it's no longer just you. You know what I mean? Or it's no longer just you with somebody who can make their own decisions. Like, you go through this change because you're thinking about your dependent. Like, you have now brought into this world this little blubber who needs all the guidance that you can give, and you literally almost if not everything you do, almost everything you do and who you are as a person is now changed for that reason.
Yeah, exactly. Just to kind of add into that, like, not to get too scientific, but like, we go through a biological change once we become mothers. Like, our hormones are different. Everything about us will never be who we were before. Not only just body wise, like literally in our genes, like our genes change. So I mean, it's kind of unfair to expect us to not change and evolve, and then at the same time we can't expect that same change in our partners, because they're not going through that change. They may be able to go through that emotional change and be there as support, but they're never going to have that innate change that happens to moms, you know. So yeah.
I also think that sometimes, or I guess I could say, like, I think that's why it's so important for us to be like aware of these things and conscious about how we raise our children, because all of us have at least one boy, right? And at some point in time, that our sons will become husbands one day, right? And we want to be able to make sure that they're equipped to help their partner see, like, like, see that light and to continue to shine, because although it's not necessarily their responsibility to remind us to, like, make time for ourselves and self-care and, like, whatever the case is, I think that as your partner you should also ignite like the great things, and also, like, be there to see if your partner is down to help them. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like in a lot of spaces, women, if they're not raised, it's almost like second nature to bettering their partner one way or another. And I feel like in a lot of instances, men are not raised that way. And if they are, sometimes they kind of wait for you to initiate the conversations. Like, oh, like, if you needed help, why didn't you ask? Like, like, I can help you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you had just said something, I could take off that load. But, like, sometimes we're just like, read the room. A lot of times, like, read the room, read the situation, whatever the case may be. So I think, like, that also plays a part in it. I'm not gonna blame my partner for me not taking care of myself, but I do wish that that they were able to see that I needed help and to take off that load so that I could find some time for myself. So
Yeah.
Just to add to that last portion, like, something that I've actually learned, and I might get my head chopped off by a couple females for this, but I don't really care. Something that I've learned along the way is that women and men are not the same at all. And men are not going to be able to see what we see, because we are both the same species as humans, but we are two different types of humans. And women are naturally nurturing. That is what we do. We take care of, like, we take care of, we bring in the affection, we bring in the reassurance and things of those sorts. Men are not like that. And I don't think it has anything to do with how they're raised. And I think it has everything to do with their makeup. Men are not nurturers. They are providers. They are leaders. They come and they say, or they don't say, but they're like, I'll take care of this, I'll take care of this, I'll take care of this. But they don't know how to nurture, because that is not in their makeup. You can tell them how to, you can show them how to, but it's not something that is natural for them. And yes, I agree. I wish that my partner or the person that I had my children with was able to see, like, hey, I need help with this, or I need help with this, and I need help with this. But I also had to realize that that's something that's not in the forefront of their mind. Like, as a man, that is not what they do. It is normally the women that do that. And even if you look in, let me use the animal kingdom, for example. You look at lions and lioness, it is not the man or the male figure that is with the babies and the women. It is normally the woman, the babies, and then that, I don't even know what the group of women or female lions is called. I forget what it's called. But it's normally the women that are with the babies because they know how to nurture. Whereas men, they lead, they do other things that have to do with responsibility, but it's literally not something that is in their makeup naturally. And it's not an excuse, but I have had to realize that, because for the longest time I'm like, I would get upset and be like, yo, you're not doing this, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. But then I'm like, but you don't even know how. And it's not in your makeup. And maybe you have been raised by a woman to look at certain things, but it's still not something that is in your DNA. I don't know.
I don't know. I have a differing opinion. I'm not one of the ones to like bite your head off because opinions, we're just discussing. But I don't know. I kind of see it a bit differently. I think that like as women, we do have this nurturing side to us, but I do think that a lot of your upbringing and societal standards play a role in it. Like, I don't think that innately women are the only nurturers and men are the providers, because I'm a woman and I think I can naturally provide as well. Like, it's almost like a characteristic of mine. I naturally take leadership roles, even in my relationship. And I mean, I'm trying to find the wording. Khalil, 1 minute. 1 minute. Okay, 1 minute. What are you doing? I'm doing something. No. Oh my gosh. Okay. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, I think that it's less biological, like nurturing and providership, all of that. I feel like a lot of it does have to do with the way you were brought up and just societal standards, because by default, by saying, I'm a woman, so I'm naturally nurturing, and I'm taking care of my family in this way because that's how that's how it's supposed to be. By default is saying that the man should be providing. And I know that's not happening in a lot of situations. They're not doing what they biologically should be doing, which shows me it's probably not biological. It probably is a lot of the upbringing. And I've seen a lot of women step up and take that providership role and that leadership role on top of nurturing. So it shows me like it's more of a human nature thing, and we're all capable of having both qualities equally. Really, there are quite a few dads nowadays that are super nurturing, stay-at-home dads. They're taking care of their kids, and the mothers are out making the money, taking care of the bills. So I feel like it's something that evolves with society and less of what we believed to be biological. And I could be wrong, but even in the animal kingdom, I believe that the lioness actually go out, hunt for the food, while the men watch the children. So I think it's something that could be learned amongst human species.
Right. I agree. I'm just saying, like, I don't think that nurturing is something that is initially there. I feel like initially nurturing is more of a woman thing. Like, yes, we can take on the responsibility of being leaders, of handling other things. I am a single mom. I do it all. I do everything. I do not have the luxury of having a father for my children who is one near or who two does what is need to be done. So I am literally a single mother who does everything by their lonesome. And I also do know men who take on roles of being a single father, for example, or even not being a single father, but they have learned to take on, not take on, they have learned to become more nurturing, or they have gotten that uh, innateness, that change somehow that we get when we have children. That, like, I think you brought that up before, that men don't have that innate change, but I feel like sometimes, depending on who the person is and what they choose to do, they get that innateness as well. But what I was just saying is, I feel like for majority of, let me not even say majority, for some men, they don't, because they don't naturally have that nurturing, it is hard for them. It's like they have blinders on, or it's like their peripherals are calcified and they just don't see it, which is not an excuse. Like, it should not be an excuse, because you're right, they can learn. They really can. But I feel like there are a lot that don't know because they're not naturally nurturing, if that makes sense. But I agree with you. I agree that they can learn, and as well as women do have to learn to take on certain responsibilities that some people may think that we shouldn't take on, but women do have to learn them. And I think that we have to learn them more so because we don't have the luxury of having a choice of not to. Because when we have kids, we are the dominant parent, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that
Because
makes sense.
yeah.
That makes sense.
So I definitely like love what you guys will have to say, and like I feel like I can dabble from both. I mean,
Yeah.
some statements I want to say is a man like that is not for me. Only in the sense where it's like, or one thing that I will say is that I realize that a lot of these boys are a lot more emotionally driven, or lovey dovey. Like I find that my son is more in touch with his emotions rather than my daughters. He's very conscious about, oh, mommy's sad. Like, how can I help her? I'm coming to your rescue. Mommy, your back is hurting. Let me rub your back. Like, you know what I mean? And I feel like, oh my goodness, like if my son is to grow up and to meet a young woman, and I have not raised him in a way where he is able to, even if you don't know, to want to learn to know, because you love this person, because it, like, you know, you've taken this on as your role, like this is my job to love and support you. Like, I think that's what I mean by raising, because I feel like people think about the way how you raise your children, they're just thinking about, like, are they good in school, do they have good manners? Life is more than manners. Life is more than education. Like, you know what I mean? Of course we all need education, but it's like, I know you guys can all agree in terms of, like, when you study for school or study, and then it's like you have a real life experience, and you're like, oh, like, yes, I did study XYZ, but now that I'm really in the forest and I'm hands on, it feels different. Small example is, like, like I said, I'm in a CYC program, and they talk about you have a duty to report if a young person gives you a disclosure. Like, you have to speak up. You have to say, you have to advocate for these young folks. Sometimes you're fighting with the parents to advocate for their own child. Unfortunately, we just had a student who, lost the battle. They were fighting, and I'm sitting here like, I've done all the work, I've done all the case studies, I've done all the research, but now we're real life. We're here, we're at school, we're dealing with mourning and counselors and XYZ. You know what I mean? And like, so, like, these things, like, I always think about, like, what you learn versus your real life experience, and how you have to have that balance, because it's like you can't. I feel like you can't have one without the other to be successful. And so, if I met a man, like, I always say, because I have 3 children, and I say I am done, and people always say, "Oh, I can see you with the fourth." That's nice what you can see. But I always say, if God ever said, Angelique, Miss A, there's one more left in you. That man needs to take care of me in ways that I never got to explain before. And I always say, like, if you know, like, when you know better, you do better. Is that
Better.
the right thing?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we've all experienced pregnancy. We've all experienced whatever type of emotions before, during, after pregnancy, whatever the case may be. And we all know what we felt like was enough in terms of like, if you ever felt like, oh, I can't do it anymore, or I need help and I just can't ask. I feel like I'm in a room full of people, but I still feel alone. Whatever the feelings is that you felt, to ever have, for me to ever have those feelings again and not have that support system, absolutely not.
Right.
Absolutely
It'll
not.
never happen. You know what I mean? And people look at me and they say like, wow, you're so insensitive, you're so like, how could you say, oh, your man must take care of you for 4 years? And I'm like, listen, I've had 3 kids. I'm a part of the slaughter club. They cut me open 3 times. I was hospitalized after each child. You understand? And what people don't realize is once you've had one kid and you go for the next one, like you don't get to start over like you did with the first one. Now you're like
Right.
home to take care of a newborn or however old your child is, plus that newborn, plus your healing.
Mhm.
All these factors add up. Now you're trying to get your body right. You know, you're trying to make sure you're taking your vitamins, you're drinking your water, you're whatever. The list
Your
goes on.
mental.
No,
And
actually.
so it's like, if I can have that peace of mind to know, because I don't know if you guys have ever had that feeling, and maybe it's also the person who you choose to have your children with,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe it's just my anxiety that I've just grown with. I can't mentally trust people with my children. Like I go to sleep and I literally think like, what if, and it drives me crazy. And if I feel that way with the other parent, I just feel like that's just, it's like
Yeah.
pointless. You know what I mean? Like you're not a team. If I feel like I can't close my eyes and have a good night's sleep because you may not hear the baby crying, that creates extra anxiety. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I feel like there's
Mhm.
just some of those factors that play a part in it all. I'm so glad that my last one is out of those like midnight waking up sleep. I mean, you guys might know sometimes my kids do get up in the middle of the night, but it's not like back in the day where it's like you're
Yeah.
getting up, make a
Every
bottle.
2 hours. Yeah, exactly.
You're like
But
changing
like,
bed. Yeah.
just to even add on to what I was saying about like the biology of it, like the biology of it is telling us we're mothers now. My baby's crying, my breasts are naturally, excreting milk, things like that. Now my brain chemistry is rewired so that when I'm sleeping, I'm no longer a deep sleeper. Like those things are biologically proven, but there is quite a bit of learning that us as women have to do on our own as well too. I don't want it to be misunderstood that we become this guide of what a mother should be as soon as we have kids. It's still very much a learning process, and it changes as the children age. I'm still learning. Now I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old. I'm a different parent than I was when they were 3 and a few months. Like it's definitely evolving. So even just going back to the original question of like, if you've lost yourself, it's so hard to say. It's really complex because of all of that going on. And the partner, as much as we don't want it to be like a male versus female type of thing, the partner really ties into that a lot. You can't answer it without, even just touching on the support system that you have.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I really do wish that if any men ever do come across any of my videos, that you allow space for you and your friends to have these conversations, right? Because I feel like like in certain spaces, I am seeing a little more of men holding other men accountable, and I do love to see that. I do love to see that. I think that if men leave more room for these proper these good conversations, I think that we might see a change potentially in our children's years.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I feel like also those men have to hold themselves accountable. Like it's nice when men hold other men accountable, but the men, like, you have to hold yourself accountable. You know what I mean? Like in order for there to be change. Because someone can tell you, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, but it's up to a person to actually want to do something to get it done. No one is in it. Nobody. At the end of the day, it's not on anyone but yourself, literally. But no, I on the topic of if you felt like you've changed, I'm gonna agree with you both that it is forever evolving. And I guess to answer the question, I would say that yes, I feel like I've lost myself because what I've lost is an old version of myself because I'm continuously evolving, right? Yeah, which isn't a bad thing. It's
Not
it's okay.
necessarily, yeah.
It's okay to lose what was. I feel like if you're not different or if you don't change, you haven't grown.
True.
So
if I was the same person I was at 26, yikes. You're saying
the same person I was at 26, I might have 6, 7 kids. With the same person.
So you might have had 6, 7?
6, 7 kids with the same person. Okay. Right. I'm happy I'm not the same person. I am so happy I'm not the same person. There are so many things that I have learned along the way, and I cannot wait. Well, I can wait. I'm not going to rush this. I'm excited to see what comes as the years go by. Okay. I'm excited to see what comes as the years go by because, like, my oldest is 9 turning 10, and then my twins are 7 turning 8, and it has almost been a decade of me being a parent, and I have learned there's so much that I have gone through, and I only know that I'm going to go through so much more as my children grow. I'm going to grow also. We're going to flourish.
Of course.
Yeah.
Sorry, on topic, kids just being kids.
It's bedtime. We have school tomorrow.
What's that?
So it's bedtime. We have school tomorrow.
Yeah, we got school tomorrow, please. Can't even have a discussion about them.
You're right. No, it's like it's like they know that we're having a discussion about them, and they're just like
they were not coughing. I was
like, hold on. Give me a second.
Yeah. Oh, this is a good topic. To add, I guess we can add this part in, but to add, like, I agree. If you know what, I like to say that I'm done. However, I know the type of woman I am, and I know that when I am with that person that I'm supposed to be with, okay, who is going to lead in the right direction, who is going to be responsible, and who is literally going to be puzzle piece intertwined with myself, I might have a child. I might have another child for that man. You hear me? Because I want to see what it's going to be.
Another baby shower. The bottle drinking game.
But that person has to be. I feel like that person has to see me, and I have to see that person. The person also has to see my children, and if they have a child or children, I have to see them as well. We have to have more than an understanding, more than a level of respect. It's not just one level, like just
And that kind of like ties everything back into like that evolution of yourself, because you wouldn't be having this conversation with you if you were, your younger self. It would be a bit easier. So that evolution developed you into this more mindful version of yourself where, a lot of your choices are more deliberate and thought out.
And you know what you like and what you don't like.
Exactly.
And you're now at the space or the age where where some people, I guess you could say, feel more confident to stand up and say like, oh, like I'm an adult. Even though
Yeah.
I feel like in my mind, the minute that I was pregnant, my mind was like, I'm an adult. I'm an adult. And even though the people around me didn't feel like I was adult, even though I may not have been behaving like what they thought was adult like behavior, I was like, I'm a mom now. I'm an adult. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I also think like, yeah, definitely times have changed. But yeah.
I'm still with my partner who I have my two boys with. But even though we're still together, there's still that discussion of, is there another baby to come? I wouldn't say I had the worst experiences being pregnant. It's more so after the pregnancies. I feel like there could be a lot more help, a lot more empathy, a lot more checking in, like we spoke about. And lots of people like to use the excuse that, he was young and whatever. I mean, so was I. I just had to keep it moving. So we've kind of have like this understanding, this evolved version of ourselves where it's like, well, if we're going to do this again, this is, the non-negotiables.
Yep.
Like, or we're just not going to.
Yep. It's the intention that comes with that. There is so much intention in that, because it's like you get together, you have the intent to stay together, you have the intent to build and grow together, and you have the intent to continue to learn each other and to learn what it means to be your own individual, what it means to be a union, and then what it means to be parents.
Parents.
So
Exactly.
it's that intention portion that comes with that, which is so beautiful. That keeps, although there's, look at me sound like a therapist. Although although you come across dips and valleys and cracks in the road, like, because you have that intention, it still ends up working out, like, through the evolution, which is beautiful.
I will say, in my journey, I did spend quite a good amount of time, because you guys are part of my village, mourning a lot of things in my relationship and a lot of things that were happening in my life. And I think those also played a part in me not understanding who I was. I feel like sometimes when you created this idea in your mind of like what you want, and I feel like also when you've had conversations with people and you feel like they understand, because you're having these conversations over and over again, they're saying yes, that they understand, they're repeating it back to you potentially. And then, like I said, when you're out in the real world, or when things are really happening, you're like, my goodness, like I thought we had this conversation. I thought we were on the same page. And if you felt like we were on the same page, why didn't you say something? You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like in that time I was very vocal, and that my partner at the time wasn't. And so like I was just like, but I thought, and you know what I mean? And it's like, there's a lot of the time where I was just like, wow, like we said that this is what we wanted to do. This is not happening. We said we weren't going to do this, and this was happening. We said it, and then I found myself like, wow, I'm sitting here so upset at this individual because they're not who I wanted to be. They're not living up to the expectation that I had set for them. Even though I was like, and I understand when people say like, oh, like, um, you can't like expect too much from people, especially if that's not what they gave you in the beginning. And so like I look back and I see that now, but like obviously when I was in it, I was just like, oh my God, this feels amazing. To be loved, to be wanted. Somebody wants, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden it's just like, okay, this is not what the reality is. Now I have a family, whether or not the other parent is in the situation. These kids are, they're my responsibility. And so like as I'm evolving, I'm like, oh my goodness, like now I'm evolving into a new profession. so that I have a career for my children, and I'm evolving into another level of being a mother because, like, I'm a mom where part of my life is resources and figuring out things of how to help my son who has autism excel. And I have a job where I'm trying to balance because once you have more than one kid, it's a balance. It's a balance between
Mhm.
finding time for yourself, finding time for each child, and making sure they feel whatever it is that they need from you at that time. And when it's just you, to stretch yourself thin, and then if you have your actual partner,
Right.
then
You
you're
have
like,
to
well,
make time for that portion as well.
right.
Exactly.
Because then they feel neglected potentially, right? You know what I mean? So it's like, I give it up to you. Because
Give it
now,
up to all of us, honestly, because it regardless, we're all moms, so we have that facet. But like, even in a relationship, you still have to nurture that. You're a student, you need to nurture that. You have your job, you need to put into that. We're just pouring in constantly in different places, so it's exhausting if we're being honest.
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
It is.
yeah, go ahead, Sam.
Oh, I was gonna say it is exhausting, and this is gonna touch on the topic of what we spoke about last time, but it is exhausting, and I think that's why it's so important to make sure that you work on, like, throughout everything that you do, make sure that you work on your individuality. And by saying that, I mean, like, continue to learn yourself, continue to uh, be able to decipher the things that you need for yourself and give those things to yourself, and take the time to nurture yourself and pour back into yourself and do the things that make you feel good, because yes, you have other people that pour into you, but you also got to fill your own cup. And so that you don't hit E, you need to give to yourself, because as much as you can get from other people, no one is going to give it to you like yourself.
Right.
And then you giving it to yourself then teaches others how to give to you. So it is very exhausting, but do the things that you need to do for yourself to fill yourself up and help others pour into your cup. Yeah.
Really.
So as we are coming to the end of our video, I started to add a little razzle dazzle, and I wanted to know if you guys could share with us one thing that you either do or recommend for self-care.
I mean, I'm still establishing a routine because it's a lot going on for me, but I always make it a point to go to the gym at least once a week. Like, it's just something that I've decided is not going to be negotiable. I hate the way I feel when I'm not in my best shape. I hate the way, my brain is clouded when I'm not in my best shape, and I'm just not the best version of myself when I'm not active. Ideally, I'd like to go more, but I realize that this is something that I need for myself. And I think it's important for women, especially, to just figure out that one non-negotiable. Be selfish about something that makes you feel like the best version of yourself, and do not make anything stand in the way of doing that, even if it's once a month, once a week, just something for yourself. And that's working for me right now. And as my time starts to become more free and I have less classes, summer vacation, I'm going to start to add more days to that. You know what I mean? Give myself that place where
Hang out with
it's
a
just
friend.
about me. Yeah, exactly.
That's it. And also hang out with a friend. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. Hang out with
Hang with a
friends.
couple of friends. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll have to agree. I would say movement, and, like, although I feel like I should go to the gym more. For myself, one of the things that I know I have to do is dance. Okay. I am a girl that is always listening to music, always moving my body in ways that, I shouldn't be. Anyways, but dancing, like, I recently went on a birthday trip, and I said, you know what? I'm
Solo
gonna take
trip or just a birthday trip? Tonight's one.
it was like a solo tight birthday trip, and there is this class called Born to Wine. Shout out my girl Royal G Gale. Okay, I have been following her for a very long time, and if you know me, you know I love to wine at my little waistline. Okay, and I was like, I'm gonna take this class, and taking that class made me feel so refreshed, and it reminded me how much I miss taking a class that one involves dance and instruction. But that's me. And I was like, I need to do this. I need to continue doing this because it makes me feel so free and it fills me up with so much joy. And I just love it. I'm normally dancing around my house. It's a lot different, but it's that movement that I'm like, man, I need to have this in my life 24/7 in order to feel good. And then like outside of that, I would say just doing anything that is to get yourself looking good. You know what I'm saying? A little spice, a little fine. To remind yourself that I'm that girl. I am that girl. One day I may look bust down, but the next day, you know, I'm looking all the way put up.
All I need is my hair done and it's over.
Yeah, actually. Yes. A little sleep too, and just a little more sleep, and then I'm that girl. Yeah.
Sleep is important. You got it. Sleep. If you can get it.
Okay. And for me, so me personally, I want to say got on the cusp of like compassion fatigue / like a little bit of burnt out when it comes to like my everyday life and my school life and my placement life. Um, and so something that I was doing, I'm trying to do 100,000 steps for the week. So that's just something that I've been like trying to work towards. I haven't reached 100,000 yet. Because when it came to the weekends, I just was not as intentional as I was during the week. I think it's just a little easier for me when I have my kids. I do less, and then it sounds really weird. Um, than when I'm in the week. Um, and so something for self care, I wanna reach that goal in terms of just getting my body moving. I really do need to find a time to go to the gym because I do want to, and I've already like broken through that going to the gym alone feel. So I do want to get into the gym more for 100%, but for right now, it's the just getting the steps in, just being a little more mindful about how I eat and when I eat. The drinking, we'll work on that. Um, like I'll be drinking juice kind of past dinner time, and I need to work on that one. Um, but yeah, even if none of us had or listed any self care that interests anybody here, I think people should know how important it is for self care. Just in my specific profession or the one I'm going into, they have a burnout rate of 2 years. And I'm not sure about your guys' professions because you work in the education field, and you work in the finances, but you're about to work in healthcare. That those these burnout percentages in these avenues extremely high, and so I think it's so important that if anybody's following or like on their journey with either one of us in terms of what we're doing in our lives, understanding how important self-care is. It is so important. Self-care can save your life. I'm telling you guys, like people think that self-care is just going to get your toes done and getting your nails
Right.
done. It's so much more than that. You know what I mean? Being able to leave things at the door or at your workplace, like you know what I mean. Sometimes you have to take not have to, but sometimes you take things home with you because for whatever reason, maybe it reminds you of someone. Maybe it's a situation you remember when you were younger, or whatever the case may be. Just please, I beg, if anybody ever sees this video, Like, please, self-care is, my goodness. And to find someone that you can trust and talk to, even if it's one person. I think people think that you need to have a bag of friends. You do not need to have 10, 50. You quality over quantity.
Absolutely.
So if I can share that with anybody else. Not everybody I talk to that is near and dear and close to my heart. We talk every single day. But I hope that they know that if they need me, they can give me a call. And that if I need them, I can shoot them a text and they'll get back to me in a timely enough fashion, whatever the case is. Otherwise I'll pull up at your house. But yeah. But on a lighter note, as we were exiting our video, I want to thank you guys all for tuning in. It's been a blessing. You guys are amazing. Thank you guys so much for your time. Before we go, do you guys have any good song requests? Any good song that you've heard recently that you'd want to share to add to my mom thoughts at midnight's playlist?
Good Gal Alkaline. It's been on repeat.
No, Good Gal Alkaline. Okay. Sam?
I don't know. I listen to so much music. I don't know.
I feel like you have
right now is the
DJ's playlist.
Is a DJ playlist?
Yeah, like DJ Puffy or.
Oh my gosh.
Or the other one.
What I'm listening to. Okay, I'll say "Secrets" by Amaria Bibi.
Okay. Let me go to my playlist. What I've been listening to most recently. Okay, so this is not a new song, but it's just a song. Okay, I like to listen to. I think they call it like Franglish. So there's like English French music. And there's this song called Dismoi, Dismoi, by DJ Coes and Jouet Duefli. He's the one that sings.
Jouet, yeah.
He sings the other song. I can't remember what it's called right now, but
For Campe.
Yes, For Campe. Yeah. But that's a song that I'm going to add to my playlist, and that's something that I'm just going to try and add to my videos. Those who come want to share a song to make our playlist. We're going to make a Mom Popped at Midnight playlist. And I like that all of our songs were very different. So, yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much.
Yeah, mine's kind of inappropriate, but.
These videos are not for young folks. These videos are not for young folks. But anyway, thank you guys for coming one more time. Don't forget to follow me on TikTok, like, and comment on YouTube. And that's it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.